Thanks for stopping by Big Top Gaming. My name's Brian.
And I'm Ethan.
And today we have a Brawlmachine battle report for you featuring Trollbloods and some more Retribution.
So this week I'm playing Magister Helynna, and I didn't know which theme at first. I had like a Dawnguard list, I had a Forges list, but I realized like I already played Dawnguard, so I wanted to try out Forges and see how Forges feels at 25 points. And I think Helynna has some game, like her gun is really underrated, Rhythm of War is really underrated, and like I feel like at 25 those things just kind of stack up. So my battle group is Sylys, a Griffon, a Gorgon, a Manticore, and Discordia, with an Arcanist Mechanik, and then my rec unit, or my rec option, is a unit of Arcanists, and then my specialists are Scythe and a unit of Battle Mages, because I want to see if Battle Mages can do some work at 25 points. I figured they would tie in with the theme of me moving up, spraying, Rhythm of Warring back, and then the mages push stuff away, so like to try and keep the game going, and just want to see how that plays out.
What's the theme benefit for Forges? I can't remember.
Everybody becomes a shield guard. All the jacks.
Nice.
No more starting the game with your upkeeps in play. They took that away in the Oblivion update.
So for my list, I'm going back to Trollbloods. The time I think our first Brawlmachine game ever was with Trollbloods, and I didn't pan out so well for good old Madrak, so I decided to bring Borka 2 in this one, and he's in Storm of the North, because getting his upkeeps out and keeping them for free is really good for him, being so low Fury. So his battle group is a Brawler, a Mauler, an Axer, and then I've got a Runebearer coming along, and I'm using the week 1 CID points for this list because I just wanted to see if the points made the list feel better. And I'm bringing a max unit of Krielstone, and I've got a Northkin Elder attached to that. So the cool thing about the Krielstone is that went down 2 points for a max unit. It's only 5/7 now. And then the Axer went down a point as well. So that leaves me enough points for a unit of Swamp Gobber Bellows crew. And then only one single Whelp, because they're 1 point now for one, and that kind of, it's like PP had to nerf Brawlmachine Whelps because they're just too out of control with 5 solos for 4 points. So that's the list I'm running with, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it does here, because I feel like Borka's a little bit of a nightmare in Brawlmachine. So I ended up winning the roll to go first. Neither one of us had any kind of first turn shenanigans, so this was just a raw good first turn for trolls. So with my deployment, I kind of have my snowdrifts are whatever. They're just they're out in the. They don't bother me so much because these ones aren't like the clouds that mess with me. These are like the perfect start the game with the terrain out benefit. So I think I tried to awaken the stone first. I'm a little rusty with trolls still. Like, it really pains me to say that as a person who loves playing trolls so much. And Borka happens to be my favorite warlock of all the Trollblood stuff. So I'll have to play them more to get more used to them. But I tried to get the stone to go first for whatever reason, but I needed Borka to dump the stone, or dump stuff into the stone, so that I could get Fury into it, so they could do the +1 speed. Because I think this is actually the first time I've ever played with the Northkin Elder instead of the Stone Scribe Elder. So this list really tries to leverage speed with access to rush and the +1 speed from the stone. I'm not really getting much out of the cold stone otherwise. So they end up going up, and I awaken the vault, awaken the something. It's awaken the stone. That's what it is. And that ends up bringing me to max Fury right away. So that's a really big benefit for me. Plus, like, I didn't have to get battle charged out right away, or pay for it. I mean, it's out on Borka, but since I didn't have to pay for it, it allows me to get that stone nice and full right away. So I've got a big ol' area that's full of okay, so next up, the Mauler ends up running forward and gets up to running up 12 inches right away, which is huge. He gets to kind of hang out in this little snowdrift, which isn't a big deal for either him or the Brawler who run up, but it's nice to be this far up the table at least. My Runebearer runs up to keep up with everything, and my Swamp Gobbers are kind of running to the middle, and this pig's going to take position to grab the flag later.
So I really hoped to win the roll, because like we both had an equal chance with no bonuses this time. But Borka, he can feat really aggressively, and I can't feat before him because he can just back off. So Helynna's going up. staying outside of his casual 12 and 13-inch threats on his heavies thanks to rush and +1 speed. I pull him forward and then push him back a little bit. I realize no matter what, he can't fit over the wall, so I can at least stay up 2 inches behind the wall and not get charged top of 2.
Yeah, I don't know if it's easy to see on this or not, but the wall is in the zone enough to where there's enough hanging out on the backside so you can toe that zone and be protected by the wall.
Yep. So there I did put up Rhythm of War, and now that Griffon is just running. I believe I allocated him a focus just to pop Fleet, but I couldn't move up as far as I had hoped, because then when I moved her up, I'm like, yeah, I can't charge because then I die. Because then I would have been, I believe, in Borka threat and the Mauler, or the Brawler.
Yeah, the Brawler and Borka both threat 13 inches, I think.
Yep. So I put a lot of my battle group to the top. I'm hoping the Manticore Disco combo can maybe power through his feet and maybe clear that zone. And I'm going to be relying heavily on the Griffon to contest the bottom zone. Because I don't think a lot of my stuff can survive his stuff.
And now you had to go back a little bit to Rhythm.
Yep, because Rhythm, if you don't know, at the end of my activation, end of the turn, models in my battle group can move 3 inches.
Right off the bat, I'm trying to assess, where do I need to commit my battle group? Because I do move as a brick. I mean, that's just kind of the troll way of doing things when you play a list like this, especially these battle group heavy ones. And Borka likes being very bricked up. So I decide that I need to do something with this Griffon, because if I don't take the Griffon out of the zone, it's just going to be contesting all day, and it's behind this Burning Earth piece. So I think that if I get into this bottom zone, I'll be able to try and get the Griffon out, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Ethan to get back in, since he doesn't have the ability to see through that cloud or really mitigate it all that much, because you don't have easy access to any Pathfinder things like I do. So the stone ends up going and putting up the aura right away, and since they can awaken to get it back, they're just going to stay at a nice full 7 Fury this whole game. So the Mauler ends up running off into that zone and just kind of taunts the Griffon right now, because I can't quite get to him all the way, of course, because Ethan wouldn't do that. That's just not the way to play the game, right?
No, that's something I would do. Because you don't think, oh, it's a Mauler and that threatens 12.
Yeah, it can get shot pretty far. So now I've decided to get Borka out there too. I'm just kind of flipping the tables on Ethan. It kind of made it look like I was going towards the circle zone fully, but I just need to try and switch my commitment here. And I think I rolled Borka back a little bit. There was something that I needed to do first, and I can't quite remember why.
You need to move the Brawler, because if you walked over there,
because if I walk, I'd be out of control, because the Runebearer wasn't walking with me. So the Brawler runs up and hangs out there. The Axer's behind him just to kind of provide some support. And then my Swamp Gobber Bellows crew, they run into the Snowdrift, even though it doesn't do anything for them. And I probably could have put their own cloud out here, but I just didn't do it. No, just for my own I just wasn't thinking about it. I don't play hordes that often, it seems like. So Swamp Gobber Bellows crew. I always flip the plural. It's weird. But so they're just hanging out to be contesting pieces that are really hard to get rid of. Borka wants to try and get a shot into this Gorgon that's hanging out here. So I believe we're first throwing my bomb at him, which does connect. And then at POW 12, I decide to boost the damage. It's dice off 6?
6, because I put up Kinetic Field from Disco, but I did not put up D-Cell because I didn't want to sit naked.
And that did end up cracking him for 9 damage.
You took out his shield, and I think you did 1 or 2 carry points over after you.
So it might have been 7. Maybe I just didn't look at the dice right. Yeah. And I think I tried to throw a spray out, but I didn't hit. And then here goes Borka's poor arm. I have him pinned into the bear, and it makes him a little bit tipsy. So I just he ended up having a battle wound. Other than that, the pig gets into position to score the flag, and my Runebearer just gets somewhere, so I don't have him hanging out in a bad place all game.
So Borka has feeded, so that basically means I can't do much this turn, or can I?
That was an important detail that I missed.
Yep. So I have to counterfeat, and we kind of have similar feats. We talked about this. Mine's a worse version of his, because his feat just stops the alpha, whereas with Rage and Stone, he can power through my feat and still do work, whereas like I get one punch and then it's over. And there... Oh, we were measuring if I could... I was trying to think about making a scenario play. I was like, okay, if this Griffon goes, slams his heavy, and slams out of the zone, but since it's a larger base, it goes half distance, I would need to roll a 6.
And that wouldn't get you out.
Nope.
Yep. So that was the weird screwing around down there with the Mauler.
So now I'm measuring out a Manticore walking over the wall, because that's how far his feet goes, because the Runebearer is not within 5.
Yeah, he's like a couple inches out. I really misplayed the Runebearer on this turn.
So my plan is the Manticore is going to walk up and over and two-hand throw him out of the feet. So I'm going through my allocations. I think I end up allocating 1 to Disco and 1 to the Manticore. I feel like that's what I did. Because my plan is to throw with the Manticore, and then Disco with the Concentrated Power should be able to kill it. But, so I'm just staying the 1 inch. He can countercharge if he wants, but the countercharge will pull him out of control with the Axer, and I'm fine with that. But I just need something to throw at, and that's where the Arcanist unit is going, because you can't target a model with a power attack, but you can target it with the throw. It can't be the model thrown, but you can throw at your friendly
Yeah, you
model.
can throw at your... Yep.
So like they walk up, they kick focus. Now the Manticore's full, Disco's full, and I've given 1 to the Gorgon. So the Gorgon goes, he aims, and he is able to catch both the Brawler and the Axer, and he boosts damage on both of them. He does decent chunk at dice -7, dice -8. He does a couple points here and there.
Yeah, because they're still in the stone aura, so they're a little bit harder to crack open.
Yep. But I give them plus or -2 speed. In this matchup, it's more cute than anything because his threat ranges are so much farther than mine, and Rush just kind of negates it.
Yeah,
So,
it makes it so I can't just scalpel Helynna out.
yep. So there I go. I'm getting within the inch.
I think we clicked it over to me just to think about countercharging, and I was like, nah, it's not going to work.
Yep. So then I do the two-handed throw. I spend a focus to give myself the +3 strength ability. Boost the hit, and now here comes the strength check. I'm strength 10, and I roll Snake Eyes.
Yep, so I end up winning that out with my strength being 12, so it's really unfortunate, but what can you do?
Yeah, so now I'm in like panic mode because I don't know what to do. The whole plan this turn, go up a heavy, and now I can start to clear that circle zone. Now the Manticore has missed, or doesn't have any more focus, so I can't even buy attacks, and I am 100% confident that Griffon is going to die to a Raged Mauler, because that's just what Maulers do. So now I feel like I've given up my battle group, and I'm like deep in the tank here about how I can recover this turn, because even like I want to do some cute stuff with Helynna's gun, but everything in his control has stealth, so like I couldn't walk up and shoot the guy to pull him out of the control either, because Helynna would have to get within 5, and that's countercharge threat.
Yeah, the feat works really well with battle charged.
Yep, if I want to shoot, I have to eat a countercharge, and then I'm just dying to it. So there Disco goes, just ends up spraying, targets my own Jack, just so that way I can clip the Axer and the Brawler. Boosting, or no, I do clip the Runebearer.
Yeah,
I
so
boost
here's
damage,
where you
but he
boost.
toughs.
Yep, I'm lucky on that regard.
Yep.
I got doubly lucky.
And then it's worth noting, too, in case you don't know, a while ago they changed Discordia's spray from brain damage to deafen, and I would much rather have deafen on the root or brain damage where the Runebearer couldn't cast spells, and brain damage against hordes was so good. I get why they changed it. Deafen is still good. It's just better for assassination run. So Helynna goes. I didn't roll damage on my Manticore because it didn't matter, because any damage I do to the shield heals from my feet. And then there, I'm measuring kill box because I'm like, now that Brawler's alive, and I have to keep the Griffon in control for the feet because then maybe it can live if I get lucky. So I'm just walking backwards with Helynna, feeding, and I'm going to be jamming that Griffon right up in that Mauler. I should have probably put him... I wanted to put him way in the corner to make Borka come over that way to keep stuff in control. But where Borka's at now, the Mauler could get there and stay in control. And Helynna would have to go way deep south. So there, I do a Rhythm of War move, and now you choose the counter charge.
Yeah, this is where I'm like, I was holding it to make sure that nothing weird happened, and then I just realized it charged out of my control.
Yep. So Disco just backs up behind the wall. The Gorgon. He also Rhythm of War over the toe of the zone. And I took way too long into this feat turn after my plan kind of went to crap.
Yeah, you're like almost 3 minutes down from me. So I think the flag got just adjusted a little bit. Sylys is meant to be in base contact with the flag, so I know that you can see that gap from a mile away, but
I
it's
do end up
definitely not the way
fixing it because like I walked him up there, and like I must have hit it and then moved him back.
Yep. So I don't remember what I did right away.
I think you're doing the Mauler.
Yeah, so the Mauler's getting going. I put Rage on myself because it's probably the best way to kind of eat through the feat. And I don't want Borka to go right now, so I didn't get Rage out for free. I end up connecting with the first hit, and this is dice -2 or 3.
I'm armor 21 under feet with my shield.
-2. I don't do any damage, and then my subsequent hits miss. Or my subsequent attacks miss. So right now the Rager's only connected with 1, and I miss again, and that one I hit, but that one's just potato for damage. Like, I'm just not doing anything to this guy. So now I'm like sweating a little bit because I had this opportunity put in front of me where my Brawler gets to stay alive, and now I'm able to get this Griffon. I should be able to get this Griffon pretty easily. So I just go hot with the Brawler, and I hope for good damage, but I roll Snake Eyes on damage again. So like, this Mauler just like needs a pep talk or something, because in the Madrak game that we played, he also did something like this that was not super great for him. So Borka ends up having to go in and kind of do work for it. So I end up getting him close enough to get the bear on him. And I hit with that, so that auto knocks him down. So now I've got trash attacks to take into him. And the first one does pretty decent. Not great, but then Ethan and I just kind of shenanigan things a little bit and get Borka behind him. I would take a free strike from the Griffon, which I think Ethan was initially wanting to take, but then after realizing that if it did any damage to Borka, I'm getting +2 strength on that. So he opts not to do it, and so there's really no reason for me to not get behind him. So I just keep taking trash attacks into this Griffon with no shield and knockdown, and I'm just buying more mount attacks.
Yeah, because he goes down to armor 19 with no shield, so like...
Yeah, so I'm dice off 5. It's not the greatest in the universe, but dice off 5 weapon master attacks, I'm fine trying to chip him away. It's been a while since I've played a mounted caster that has a good mount attack, so like I had to take a minute to look up the rules for being able to buy more attacks, and we ended up finding out that I can. So I just keep throwing dice and trying to get this Griffon down, but you can see by the numbers that things are just not looking really hot for me. But I do kill him, but I believe I'm sitting naked right now, and Borka gets de-bared again, so it's just going to be a constant struggle this game for him. He's such a great model, but like, man, is he clunky.
He's just really big and top heavy.
Yeah, he's a big old meaty metal boy on top of a resin bear. So the Rune Bear is able to walk out of the flag. I think that I'm barely in the 5 inches for Borka. I can't quite remember if I was in or not, or if I was just saying whatever. If I'm out, I'm out. But now I'm trying to figure out, like, what can I do with this Brawler to kind of make the most out of this bad situation. And I'm not quite sure how I want to unpack him into Ethan's stuff right now. So I think... never mind. He's engaged with stupid Manticore. I didn't need to think about that. So we start beating on him, and much like the Mauler, he ends up starting to kind of poop on it a little bit too. He took out the shield in one shot.
It took him 2 swings.
Yeah, almost took it out in one shot. But you can see based on the damage grid, the Brawler did so poorly that we only did like not even a column's worth of actual damage to it. So the Axer decides to go in and get brave. And boost some damage and doesn't do anything. So it's not looking real hot over there. So everything that I gained by having Ethan roll double ones on that throw is basically gone now. Like everything that could have gone wrong this turn did.
But you did score your zone and flag.
Yeah, there's at least that.
So going into turn 2, we're tied. My feet did some work, so like that's the best I could hope for, like to survive. There, I'm measuring if Sylys can run from the flag, get behind the burning earth, and not get countercharged. And luckily, he can.
And you're using your brand spanking new laser.
Yeah, my broken egg stuff just came in today. Sadly, I ordered Circle and Mercenary tokens, so I don't have Ret ones.
Yep.
But Sylys can get there, but that's pretty much the last model I have on that side of the board, because I thought Brian was going to lean heavy to the Circle. That's what it looked like, but his army is so much faster than mine. He was able to reposition and go away, and I still had the Dedicate stuff up there because he could easily steal that zone away from me. So now I'm just trying to measure if Helynna can get into the Burning Earth, outside countercharge range, and see him, to shoot him, to pull him closer. But sadly, like there's like an inch fraction because I don't have Pathfinder, I can't get there. And because I had this go so far back just to run away from the Brawler.
Yeah, that's my list really scares yours quite a bit. So like you have to play defensive, but then you kind of lose some of that, some of those shenanigans that you were talking about at the beginning, just because you can't risk coming that close to me.
And I don't know if I picked the right side when I lost the roll. I didn't want that water and the obstruction in my way, but that burning earth, like, it just really inhibits my ability to contest that zone.
Especially since more of it's on your side of the table, so you have to like run into or around it to start dealing with my stuff that's in there. Like the Sylys thing is cool because you can ignore the counter charge by positioning behind the cloud, but there's not really much you can get in there that's going to like really scare me that I can't do anything with.
Yeah, there's pretty much nothing. Gorgon. Oh, I think Helynna tried to shoot.
Maybe you tried to shoot the Brawler or something like that, but just couldn't close it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I did. Because my thought was if I can shoot him, I can pull him 3 inches out of the way of the Manticore, and the Manticore would have charge threat to Borka, but I don't know if a Manticore could kill it, and I was worried about a free strike crippling him. So the unit went again, loaded up some focus. Manticore did the +3 strength. Or no, this is the Gorgon. The Gorgon shot. He missed the Axer, but he boosted damage on the Brawler.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like it did a whole lot to him.
No, I'm just trying to get chip damage, and now the Manticore is doing +3 strength. I don't believe I was in range for concentrated power.
Well, no, you had to get him on the flag. That's
Yeah.
why you got rid of concentrated. Why you couldn't concentrated power.
Yeah, so like, I'm not doing well, and I was hoping he could kill it, and then Disco could go for the Axer.
Yep, and your rolls were just not super great there.
So now Discordia goes, and then Sheets of Power is 16. I'm dice -4. So I believe I boost this one. Do not roll very well. Second initial, I'm about to boost, and then I opt to get greedy and not boost, because I want him to be alive on just a few boxes, because now I have Chain Attack Smite, and I boost it, I hit. I'm hoping to slam him into a few dudes to knock him down. So like I catch the Axer and one
Stone
boy. So like, and now I got to boost damage. Luckily that kills him to the box.
Yeah, it was just one box away.
And like now the Axer's knocked down. He takes a POW 10, does nothing under stone. The Stony Boy fails his tough check, or he doesn't get tough because he's knocked down.
Yep, and then I lose one off the Fury Vault too, because they were max.
And then I'm just doing my Rhythm of War moves. My plan is maybe to send the Gorgon over there next turn, but I feel like it's the Borka bait. They're trying to get him to come and do it.
So my turn was like what Ethan did to me wasn't terrible. I kind of expected that whole zone to collapse out, but I still have an Axer at least, and that's not going to be easy to get rid of because like outside of Hand of Destruction, I guess you have concentrated power, you have Hand of Destruction, you have the strength buff on the Manticore. So like you can do work into my stuff, but like your concentrated power is on your flag, and it just takes a lot of resources to do that because I think you have to spend a focus to get that +3, right?
Yeah, the Force Generator takes a focus.
Yep, so it at least means that the Axer probably has a pretty decent chance of sticking around for a while, and you're not even into those Swamp Gobbers yet, so that zone it's not locked down, but it's sitting pretty decent. I don't have a ton of time left, but it's pretty easy for me to just walk up here and grab Sylys by skirting around the burning earth. So I go ahead and boost my hit roll and just crack him right away, so he just gets munched without any real problems. So that means that my zone's clear. I can score it with that Mauler if I need Borka to go do something, and I'm thinking that it might be Borka that tries to go into the Manticore to try and take one out, because the Manticore is a little bit better poised to deal with my stuff than the Discordia is, because just the Manticore gets that +3 bump, which isn't a big deal. But when my armor value gets so high, it's pretty decent, and I think Discordia would have a little bit more of a difficult time figuring out trying to break my armor and kill my stuff, especially Borka going up to armor 22 after you do damage to him. So I charge Borka off. I go ahead and knock down. I get the range to get an impact on the Manticore and knock it down with the mount. And I don't do great damage to it. I guess actually watching you fill in, it was pretty decent. So then Borka's charge goes off and does a bit more, and we buy a mount, and it auto hits and just destroys him. So Borka's sitting there with 3 camp right now, and I'm feeling pretty good about his position right here. Being able to take out a heavy without having to use my full stack is super legit. So I'm getting repositioning back into the Runebearer's 5-inch aura, and then getting just so I can keep my Mauler in control. Next up, the Axer goes up, and I noticed I'm really running low on time, so I end my turn, and I'm sitting at 6 control points right now to 4, 3.
So we believe it's 6-4 because he's never contested my flag. So here I'm gonna try and do some cute stuff. I can't kill Borka. Like with transfers, he is the beefiest boy in the world. Helynna is going to get cute. She aims, she boosts a shot into the Mauler, hits, pushes him 3 inches out of the zone, out of control, because I'm hoping to force a frenzy check next turn, and maybe that will eat his clock. So now the Gorgon is running, staying out of reach range, and now I'm scoring that zone and contesting his flag because I pushed his heavy out of the zone. That's super cute. Disco goes up. I'm trying to kill the Axer, and in my rush, I didn't allocate focus from the unit because I wanted them to get deep into the zone to maybe clear the goobers, because I don't think he has time to kill Discordia, but I smite him, and he's still alive, and I have an extra focus because I didn't boost one of my things, so I do connect field. The unit runs, I end my turn, I score 2. So now it's 6-6, or 6-7. I contested your thing, so it is 6-6.
Okay, so I don't have a whole lot of time here, and my clock, for whatever reason, we didn't start, so now we're finally starting it after I had done a frenzy check and passed. So the Mauler just walks back into the zone so we can stop Ethan from scoring it, and I click my clock over with 1 second left because I really don't have a whole lot I can do here.
Yep, so with the 1 second left, I score my flag, and then we tie again, and then I auto score again on my turn. So
yeah, there wasn't much I could do, so I end up just taking that down as a clock win for Ethan. When it comes to sideboard, I built a Grim 1 list as the pair for this, and he had a nice sideboard, but Borka, I didn't really make one. I think I kind of threw this list together last minute, and I also there's not a whole lot of wiggle room in his list. With the Max Stone, I could change I actually can't change the unit attachment on it because of the way that the rules work for specialists. If you have a unit attachment in the sideboard, it needs to have a unit that it can legally attach to in the main list, so you can't flip-flop attachments that go into one unit.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
So I couldn't put the other Stone Scribe in there. There was no... I could take out those Swamp Gobbers and a pig for Skinner, but that seems like a really bad trade too, so no sideboard for me. I'm just going with the list. It works fine the way it is. I just need to play it quicker.
And then for me, I ended up, after a lot of debating, swapping out the Griffon for the unit of Battle Mages because I wanted to try and leverage their pushes to try and clear the zones, and that gives me more bodies because I realized I don't have enough contest pieces with my list, so that way I could run a couple dudes into the zones each turn and actually contest meaningfully over the course of the game. It was either between the Gorgon and the Griffon, and I figured this game too, since I have one game under my belt, I could try the Griffon swapped out, and then if I don't like just the Gorgon, I could reflip it back out and get the Griffon back in.
So I opt to take the first turn.
Yep, because you lost, so you get to go first again.
Yep, and then Ethan flipped me sides. He felt like the cloud was probably harsh in your chill for a while there, so you decide to take the piece that I had, which doesn't really bother me because I can mitigate the terrain on both of these sides about the same, and it just means that with me being able to go up as far as I can get around this burning earth, so it's not going to be a huge hindrance to my ability to affect that middle of the table real well. So Borka goes up first, and I try to get him to stay out of some Helynna shooting ranges, and the stone goes up, awakens, so it's not as full as it was last turn because it was just rolling gangbusters, but it's about one off from super full, so it's still pretty good. The Mauler and the Axer are just running to get ready to get into that zone and be annoying, and also just do work, really, because that's just what they're going to do over there. The Brawler's he's in the circle zone, because I still feel like with reach and how far he threats, he's really good at being able to clear that zone from infantry that Ethan's brought.
So this time around, I position my heavies a little bit more centrally, because now I don't have that cloud in the way, so I can actually get to the rectangle, and because I don't have Pathfinder. The only thing in my list that did was the Griffon, and I took it out. That's why I took this side. It's helpful with the sideboard. I knew he was going first again, so that's just what he's gonna do.
Yeah, my feet's really well positioned to just go first and run up the table and jam real hard.
So I do run a Battle Mage into the zone in threat of the Brawler, but if he wants to throw the Brawler away just to kill one Battle Mage, please do. And there's no way he's going for that.
Trade.
And there I'm measuring that way because the Brawler threatens 13.
Yeah, once I get up to this zone, there's basically not a part of the table that I can't touch.
Yep, because stupid Borkas, Field Marshal that makes them Northkin models means the stone gives them the +1 speed. That's why they're all running 12 inches. Disco has to respect 12 of the Mauler. And now the Gorgon. The Gorgon's running up because I'm running up far enough where if he wants to get it, the Mauler has to come out of the zone. And I'm perfectly okay with that because that means Borka has to slide down that way. And if he wants to go for a Gorgon, he can. So now Helynna just goes up, puts up Rhythm of War, D-Cell, camps 1. Manticore runs up, respecting that, 13-inch threat. My heavies, for what it's worth, with speed 6 and 1-inch melee threaten 10 on their melee, and just moving on up.
So just as an aside real quick before we get too deep into it, my Retribution collection is a little slim these days. I need to kind of bolster it up a little bit. So Ethan had to proxy out the Shyeel battle or Arcanists with some defenders. And then I think there was one other thing that we proxied.
Last game, I used the Battle Mages as the unit of Arcanists because they're not in the list.
And then we had to switch them because you had actual Battle Mages coming in.
Yep.
So that's the why things might look a little wonky. It's just, we wanted to play the lists the way we wanted to play them, and I don't mind playing against these proxies. So with all that out of the way, the Runebearer goes up on the front side of the flag, and I believe we harmonious Borka right away because I have some, Ethan kind of put this Battle Mage out there for me to deal with, and I got some ideas on how I'm going to take care of that. So the Stone ends up going next, and they move up and Fury. They end up getting the one back that they had, so they're still sitting at a nice healthy 6 Fury. I would have liked to get them to top out here, but it's okay. It's not a huge problem or anything. They're going to be able to get everyone's going to get the buff that they needed on. So next up, Borka goes up, and I'm checking the defense on all these things, and I think the battery died. So yes, the meme is a reality now of dead batteries. So the only real thing that happened here was that Borka was able to go up and throw his bomb at one of the battle mages that wasn't by the obstruction, and then spray the other one with a frost hammer. So I was able to get those 2 battle mages out of there. So Ethan trying to bait me just didn't quite work out in his favor. Maybe he wanted Borka here, but I'm pretty fine with him surviving up in the middle of the table.
And then Brian didn't mention it, but of course Borka feated, so that's something I got to deal with. One battle mage can get in walk range to force bolt Borka if he wants to not countercharge. If he does, then the rest can get him. But like their magic ability 6 these days. This is the first time I've put battle mages on the table since Mark II. The last circle game I played, I tried out druids, and now I wanted to try out battle mages. And magic ability 6 did come up a couple times this game, but that's spoilers. So now I'm just trying to plan out, like, what do I do to into his feat? Like, he's so far in the zones. I don't have a throw trick this time. His heavies are so consolidated. So I'm running the mages to contest that zone. One on deep side. Like, Borka can go over there and clear, but then he's got to go wide again.
Yep, and Borka does not like going wide, even though he gets control 12 with this list. Those zones are spread out far enough where I can't brick that easy.
Yep, and the Mauler and the Axer actually had to, I think, walk because they didn't have... they weren't in control. They had to walk into control.
Yeah, so my cute trick with Borka ended up costing me my Mauler and my Axer, but I'm fine with where they're at. They didn't need to get up much further to be good.
So here, realizing that the Mauler... if the Mauler had ran farther, that would actually help me, because now my Gorgon is running... it's 12 inches all the way to the back corner and turning around behind the Mauler. He is in rush walk distance to get to me. That's where I'm measuring. I'm just outside his normal walk, but he would, if he stones, he would need rush because of the rough terrain. So like, if he rushes, he can get to me. If the Mauler's going over there, neato. Like, that's the best I can hope for. So now I'm trying to figure out, how do I stay safe from Borka and from the Brawler, because I don't have Pathfinder. There's a water in the way. Your stuff all has access to Pathfinder. Borka has it naturally, so I'm going to be running the Manticore wide to the circle zone, because I'm trying to split my forces as much as I can to make you have to make choices and try and split between your smaller controlled area and where Borka needs to be. So Helynna, there I believe I'm measuring your threats and factoring out what I want to do. Sylys did walk onto the flag, and then Arcane Secrets her. And since he's within 2, I can do a range 12 Obliterate. All of his stuff has stealth, but I'm just praying for a good drift. I target the Brawler, and it goes to the 2, 6 inches. So nowhere.
Yeah, it goes off into no man's land.
Yep, I had hoped it would go to the 6, the opposite direction, and maybe clip some Stony Boys. So now she has to walk back. There's Borka's 12. No, he has reach or 1-inch melee.
He's got reach, yeah.
So it's 13 because he goes up to speed 8 from the stone.
Yeah, the Brawler and Borka threat the same speed.
Or no, he goes up to speed 8 from the stone, charge 11 with reach, yeah.
Yeah, 13.
So there is a small little hair where Helynna is in the kill box, outside 12.
It is the smallest of distances that's keeping her alive right now.
Yep. And like, that's just the game. Like, when Borka goes first, I can't move up the board. And I'm counter-feeding, and now Disco is getting within 10. Boosting a spray. Hits, boost damage. Does like nothing. And now Rhythm of War procs. I get to back up 3 inches out of the Mauler's 12-inch threat, so I'm 12.1. Because Rhythm of War is 3, Manticore stays where he is, and we both score our flags.
So I got to kind of not live the dream, so to speak, but I think Borka's got several different iterations of how he wants his feat to play out. And right now, the way that's going for me is good, because Ethan has a defensive feat, and he's backed out of my threat ranges. So that means I get to do whatever I want to in the middle of the table, and then probably just back out of his threat ranges. So my feat gets like super double time effort, and I just get to do whatever I want to without being under constant threat from Ethan's stuff. So I'm kind of thinking about how I want to piece this turn together. I want to start putting some scenario pressure on because Ethan is only present in one side of the table, and his heavies just aren't quite cut from the same cloth that mine are in terms of being able to one round another 50 millimeter base. So there's a chance that I might try and leverage this Mauler to make a scenario play, and I'm seeing if I can get to the flag without needing to rush the Mauler. And all I want to do is contest this thing. I don't want to get like all up on it. I just want to get within 4 inches and make sure that Ethan can't score it for a while. And if he wants to, he's got to remove this Mauler, which is going to be no small task for him, especially if that stone gets up far enough to be able to put the stone aura, protective aura, on the Mauler. So after kind of doing some like measuring and finagling, we figure if the stone aura goes up and gives him speed, he can get out of the burning earth and get onto the flag. I think I also rolled my fire check. I ended up it didn't go out, but I didn't take any damage, so it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, I don't know if you've done it yet. I think when the Mauler goes to move, you remember it's on fire.
Oh yeah, because I'm in the thing and it just blends in a little bit. So the stone bearer or the stone scribes end up getting a little brave, and they get a press forward order. They're just, instead of awakening the stone, they decide to try and get some extra damage on this Gorgon. I'm just getting flashbacks of not being able to kill a light in my zone from the last game, so I just want to get some extra damage out there. So I opt to get that one charge, which isn't probably going to be the greatest, but
at dice -6, he took out my shield, so he did 6 damage.
Yeah, he did all right. I won't lie. He did. It was a good idea after the fact, but it could have gone really bad. So that was my fire checks. Mauler takes nothing. The fire goes out on the Axer. So now I'm within contest range of the flag, so I don't have to worry about that so much. And now I've got this big meaty heavy that Ethan's got to deal with, and right behind him is Borka, ready to countercharge and knock down whatever gets into him. So I'm within the 8 inches that I need to get into Sylys on the flag. So not only am I going to have the Mauler contesting, but I also just clear Ethan's flag from Sylys. So I do have to roll damage and opt to boost, because if I don't roll a 6, then I will hate myself for it. We end up cracking Sylys off the table. So I feel like this is a strong scenario push play for me, and it makes it so that I'm forcing Ethan's hand and what he needs to do. Of course, his option's easy. He has to get rid of the Mauler, but at least this way I'm dictating how he does this, and that feels powerful to me, at least. Like I'm in a good position here. So the Brawler ends up playing a little bit more defensive, since he can threat the world essentially from this zone, and he walks over behind the wall to just be safe and protected. The Borka had used his attuned spirit to rush the Axer so he could get through the burning earth and onto the Griffon, and we buy some attacks here, and it's not looking super hot in terms
4 attacks.
Yeah, he whiffed it real hard with just needing 6s. So this is like the all-star on the bottom was the Stone Scribe and not my light war beast that would be dice -2 against that stupid light.
The only saving grace of that last turn is that the Gorgon's life. If the Gorgon dies, like, he's just going to snowball scenario, because I can't get to his flag. He's just contested mine. So now you're up, I want to say 3-2.
Yep, and it's really hard for you to get a lot of work out of those guys in the top zone, because that Brawler's sitting at defense 16 behind the wall, and those Swamp Gobbers are really difficult to get rid of also. So I was really well set up here to just crush on some scenario advantage, but that Axer just did not eat his Wheaties this morning.
And then there you saw me put down a 6-inch stink. I realized if I put Discordia into the Mauler, which I don't think she can even kill in one round, Borka can countercharge. And then, he actually can't countercharge with the mount. So you can't.
I would just do the impact.
Can you impact on a countercharge?
Yeah, it's just a normal countercharge. It's just a normal charge. So whatever I could do during the charge, I can do during a countercharge.
Right. I mean, you're mat 7, mat 8.
Mat 8.
So you just need a 4.
Yep.
So
it's likely that I would knock down Discordia. Then I'd get the trash attack, and then I get to take my POW 15 crit smite attack.
Yep. So that's a fun thing. So, as is, I cannot send in Discordia. I'm trying to measure Helynna's gun. I was thinking about if I walk up, I could shoot Borka, pull him 3 inches into the Discordia threat, but Borka, I believe, is camping two?
Three.
Two or three?
Two or three, yeah. Because he got exaltated and had to boost his Frost Hammer, so that was 2, and then boosted down. I'm camping 2.
Yep. So a Borka camping 2 is immune to my heavy because under stone, and with his... So he takes the charge. No, he doesn't take the charge. He transfers the charge. My second initial, he probably takes a few points of damage, and now he's armor 22.
Yep, 22 with 18 boxes.
Because even with concentrated power, Disco is only arm 18, and I'd have to pay 1 for the charge. There, I walk up the Arcanist and do concentrated power and ask if he wants to countercharge, and he opts not to, because I was hoping he would either kill my Arcanist on the charge and get out of Borka countercharge range, which makes my life easier.
Yeah, I wasn't going to fall for that one. I feel like I did some decent work trying to manufacture this. If you go into the Mauler, I will countercharge you business, and I did not want to lose that.
So Helynna aimed, boosted, or she did a Hand of Destruction on the Mauler, and then shot her gun at it, pulled it, boost damage. So now I've pulled it out of stone.
Yep, that's really important. I was not thinking about the pull on her gun when I set this all up, so this was really unfortunate to watch happen.
So Gorgon moves up just to get them engagement range because he has Force Lock, and I combo strike into the Axer, do decent damage. Now Discordia goes. She's got 3 focus from the Arcanist. Hand of Destruction lets her roll an additional die, drop the lowest. So now I am dice damage, and first one does 5, second attack misses, bind attack, or no, I can't even chain attack, which I wouldn't do because that would just smite him out of my melee range, and now I'm actually rolling really well for damage, dropping the lowest, going through.
And you get him to the box again.
Yep.
Like your efficient kills of my heavies are getting really annoying.
I had 1 focus left over to put up kinetic field in case he wanted to throw a bomb. So now here, the battle mages are walking up. One is able to walk and engage one dude, so that he can try and punch twice because it's better. They're mat 6 or their magic ability 6, and this way he doesn't get concealment. I still need 9s. So misses, second initial, misses. Now I try and force bolt the Brawler behind the wall. I realize now I blocked the lane for my Manticore to aim and try and shoot the goobers. So like that's a thing too. And like I'm lamenting this, and then I believe I already missed the...
I think we were looking for a proxy or something over here. Or a spray or... rock wall.
Rock wall, because the Manticore ends up just putting down a covering fire on top of his dudes, because if they end their activation in it, they'll die. And then Brian's nice enough to let me try my Force Bolt, which I miss, and I miss because I got ahead of myself. But the covering fire, if they enter or end, so if that one wants to get out of it, he takes a free strike, or if he wants to stay in it, he takes a POW 10.
Yep, so you end, and I think I score 1 point, and you score 1 as well.
Yep.
So we're getting back down to where collectively we have less than 10 minutes between the two of us, and the turns are getting high. I have what I think is a decent scenario. Well, I had thought it was a decent scenario lead, but it hasn't quite played out the way I've wanted it to. I've only got a 1-point lead on you, I think, right now.
I believe so. No, because yeah,
because I contested your flag 1 turn, and you haven't contested mine, so I think I have 1 on you.
Yeah, going second, I can't get to your flag.
Yep.
It's not happening.
It's real. The being able to go up this far with Borka is real nice. It just feels good. Getting first turn's nice. Getting second turn's good. He's just an all-around great warlock for Brawl Machine.
Yeah, he is.
So I believe I start out with the Axer first, who can't... He ends up leaving a Fury on him and passes his Frenzy check. He's threshold 8, and I've been doing pretty good with those. I think there was one last game that I might have missed that he passed. So we end up cracking some damage onto the Gorgon, but we don't get enough to quite kill it. It's got like maybe 6 boxes left, 7 boxes, something like that.
I think he's got 6, and his right arm is out.
Yeah, so not even the movement, which would be nice to have right now. So we end up doing some measurements to see if I can get 1 charge in. The Stone Bearers, I believe, used to be a 1/2 inch reach, but now they're 1 inch reach, so that really helps these guys get work done when they need to. And these guys just kind of get you out of nowhere if you're not paying attention to them. I think for the Stone, I decided to do the +1 speed because I felt like I needed it, but I really should have done the +2 damage here for the warrior models. It doesn't really matter all that much because I think
I missed
with I hit with one, did real poop damage, or no, it didn't do damage at all. And then it was the charge attack one, I think. I don't know.
Charge missed, and then the guy who was in combat, because of force lock, he couldn't move to get out of the way, so you couldn't get multiple charges. That's why he was only able to get one charge on me in that gap that he measured.
So now I'm taking a minute to figure out, like, what is it that I need to do here. Borka's got a lot of things that I can do to help my situation out, and I just don't know quite what the best plan of action is here. So I decide that I'm thinking, or just plotting out, if I can back Borka up, give rush on the Brawler so that I can go get something, like maybe Discordia or maybe some Battle Mages. I don't think Discordia is close enough, but I find out that that's not going to work because I wanted to get him within a Attune Spirit of the Brawler, and then also be able to take a range 8 attack on the Gorgon. So I end up spraying the Gorgon instead and just committing to this zone plan, and I end up hitting with the spray Frosthammer, and it doesn't affect any of my guys because everything's Northkin and has immunity cold. And I end up rolling what I needed to kill that Gorgon with that spray. So Borka's really doing some good magic work, so don't let anyone tell you that Frosthammer on him sucks at magic ability 5, because it does work when it needs to. So I end up repositioning out of Discordia's threat and out of Helynna's walk gun threat. And that means that I'm able to score this zone, and my Axer was just being so trashy, like Borka had to come over and do it. So the Brawler stays put, and I end my turn.
And it's worth noting the Battle Mage missed the free strike on the Gobber when it walked out of the covering fire, so it didn't die. I needed a 7 still because they're def 15, so it was iffy, but it was better than just letting him sit there forever. So now more Battle Mages are walking up. Like, I just need volume of attacks, and I'm running low on clock. Like, I need to clear a zone, and then there you're doing a counter charge. Because I am within 6, but he doesn't have Pathfinder, so he's trying to see if he can go over the wall.
I wasn't so much doing one, I was seeing if I could make it. Because I was like, I will take that if it means that one of my Gobbers is taking 2 less attacks. Unfortunately, I just can't make it.
So now I start swinging. I need 9s. Luckily, I hit. Power 11. Next, I got 2 more on this guy. Miss, miss, miss. Hey, miss. Now I try and Force Bolt. Miss. Manticore just puts down a covering fire again just to try and do the same thing as last time. I realized I gave him extra focus, and he just ended up doing the covering fire. I run my Arcanist forward.
Yep, and I can't quite see through the forest to get there, so I can't countercharge here.
And Disco moves up and body blocks for Helynna on the flag.
So when Ethan clicked the clock over to me, we noticed that I lost about 10 seconds almost. So we end up just adjusting that to make sure that it's back at the right time. So I start, and I don't know what to do. Like, I'm kind of at a loss here. I need to just, like, do stuff. Like, this is the hardest thing when you get down to these low time games. So I opt to just try and get the Brawler into a position where he's contesting the flag and just being annoying. I was going to try and kill the contesting model, but I just don't have the time, so I have to just stop him from scoring and move on.
So my turn, super fast. Disco just runs. I offer him free strike, he doesn't take it. Helynna aims, shoots her gun, pushes the Brawler out of contest range, and then I roll damage and end my turn. And then we realize the covering fire template's still there. I never rolled damage on the Goober when it ended its activation. So, like, I think we went through and we were like, okay, we got to do that fire check on Borka. And as soon as we rolled that, like, it looks like Brian clocked. But then, like, we see the covering fire template and realize I never rolled the damage. And, like, that would have made me clock rolling the damage.
Yeah, you just can't do it in the 2 seconds that you need to get there. So we had another, like, I wouldn't say it was a Midwest nice moment where this is where Ethan ended up taking the loss on this one for the timing issue, because it really just was, we both had the same amount of time, 2 seconds, probably sub 2 seconds because of the way that clock counts down. And I end up getting this one, so we move on to game 3.
And the hordes and Warmachine like difference, I have to power up on my turn. You don't have to do anything as long as you don't have Fury on the table.
Yep.
So like no matter what, I would clock myself putting down the focus and flipping the clock, and like I'm fine with the goober thing because if I had remembered it and been literally like holding my hand right there to do it at the beginning of my turn, maybe I wouldn't have taken so long, but like I'd literally have to be hover handing it, roll it, flip it.
Exactly. So again, no sideboard for me, so I didn't change anything. I don't think you made any changes this time either.
No, the whole Gorgon package is supposed to spray a dude, repo back with Rhythm of War, and then Discordia can spray and Rhythm of War out of your melee threats, because at the max 10, I go 3 back. With your neg 2 speed, you can't get to me. And now I know I'm going first because I lost that game, so I want to try and leverage that and actually get to use what I get to do. And I haven't been able to go first here until game 3. So Brian ended up taking that side again because he realized how like nice that rock wall. I did, I think, 4 or 5 force bolts into a brawler and hit once.
Yeah, so it felt like that unit just was worthless because of that wall.
Yep. So Helynna puts up her spell and charges. There is a mistake, but we'll get to that. So I'm just running everything up. I finally get to leverage my speed turn 1 and actually claim board space and get to do stuff. So I'm really excited about that. And then I just flip it, and then I get to Rhythm of War because I can run turn 1, Rhythm of War at the end of the turn, so I get an extra 3.
So looking at this side, this is almost the furthest Ethan has been up with his entire battle group over the course of these 2 games.
Yeah, that is actually accurate.
So I now have to think about like where I'm landing with Borka. I can't just run up there and not care about any retaliation. I want to hold my feet for a little while, so I'm not going to just give him my whole battle group right now and feet right away. So we're doing some measuring to figure out where Borka needs to go to stay safe on everything. And there's maybe like I'm taking a Manticore shot or something, but that doesn't really bother me so much.
The big thing was Helynna's gun pushing you into my melee threats.
Yep, and then Borka can't take on 2 heavies. I can probably tank 1, no problem, but...
You put all your fury in the stone,
Yes,
though.
I did. I put it all in the stone.
At
But I
that
feel like
point,
I
one heavy can
might
kill
be
you.
able to. Like, maybe Discordia can't kill me.
With concentrated power and Hand of Destruction, and then I would obliterate you.
I guess, yeah, then we're looking a little different. So I decide to be a little bit more defensive instead of super duper aggro with him. The Brawler goes up into his home in that hidey hole behind the wall. And I'm doing the same thing with the Mauler and Axer here. I think that the way things worked out the last game went really well with those 2. So I'm keeping them behind the cloud forest thing here, the Burning Earth, so that I cannot take charges from Ethan's stuff right away. Now I'm utilizing it for my gain and just end my turn and feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, this matchup was kind of a damned if I do, damned if I don't, because I really wanted Brian's side, but I couldn't let him go first again. Like,
yeah, I just leverage too much pressure on you when you give me first turn.
and like the one win I got was just like, it felt like a fluke game 1. Like, I don't think I should have won that game.
Yeah, if I play a little more tight and faster, I think I close that game out, no problem.
Yep, my only reason I had a chance was because of clock.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing some allocations. I'm thinking about Manticore trying to shoot a Brawler behind the wall. I'm thinking about Discordia and some sprays. So here, Battle Mages walk up. I'm just measuring.
Yeah, I think you're trying to go for some like maybe force bolts to mess with me a little bit.
Well, I needed to get in the zone. I was like, might as well. I missed by 1 if they had been Magic Ability 7 like they used to be. There
we
the second
go.
one actually hits,
This
and
is-
I crit. I'm so excited.
You have to show everyone, look what I made.
Yeah.
We'll put those double 6s on the fridge.
So I push him 2 inches, knock him down. And here's where I'm lamenting like not having an arc node, because Helynna can't get Hand of Destruction, and I think I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the game. And here is where I'm making some mistakes. I'm looking at my Warjacks from the back, so I think that's a Manticore. So the Manticore walked up, and we repoed back so that way I could give some focus out. So the Manticore, which is Discordia up there, rolls 2 shots. I hit, boost, do like 2. I boost because I only rolled 2 shots and got in 3 focus, boost damage. So I do end up fixing this, by swapping the jacks.
Yeah, it's weird. The Retribution character upgrade kits change so little on the models that it's really hard to tell the difference between a regular heavy and one of the characters.
It's just from the back, like the arms are positioned in a way where I couldn't see the arm blades.
Yeah.
And then like I just like in my head when I first deployed, I'm like, okay, Discordia is going to my rectangle and the Manticore is going to the top. And then like I didn't realize it until I think after his turn, and then I'll fix it. Because here I'm even measuring a Discordia spray.
Yeah, because I think when you were talking about these sprays, and I was like, isn't the Deafen spray on the other side of the table? And you're like, oh, yeah. And I was fine with you switching it. I wasn't going to.
We don't even realize it till your turn.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
So Disco goes first, just so that way she doesn't have to spray over the Gorgon. Can only hit the Axer because of the way it's angled, and because he's behind the Burning Earth. Now the Gorgon goes up.
Yeah, you get within your spray range at least.
Yep. So I hit. So now the Axer has -2 speed. This is the spray that I would have wanted to catch both of them, because that's the Q tech. But I figured I didn't know if I had the distance to walk far enough to get the Mauler, and I didn't want to leave him even with the Repo 3 in threat. So Helynna goes up. She gets aggressive and goes the other side of the flag because I know he's feeding. I want to be able to leverage my spell list and actually do something during his feat. And I want to be able to maybe get close enough to shoot my gun and pull something out of feat. So I'm out of threat of the Brawler. And then we're just going up here, end of my turn. And now I'm finally asking about the Mauler threat, and I'm in Trample Mauler threat. So that's a fun thing.
Yeah, the Mauler has like a bit of a massive overhang with that extreme kit. So I get down and look, and I'm like, yes, you're very in the trample threat. So the Gorgon repos to try and body block.
Yep.
So with noticing that the Mauler has a trample threat to Helynna, I start thinking about how this game's going to go for me. Now, I could just kind of grind it out again and try and get to these like low clock levels and just like leverage my attrition against Ethan's, knowing that my feat's a little bit better than his in terms of being able to apply more leverage over the long term, because I feel like yours is only good for like one setup if you're trying to be aggressive, whereas mine I can kind of control 2 turns with it feels like.
Yeah, because you stop my turn, and then on your turn you get to punch and auto hit my stationary dudes. So it's just a really good feat.
No, he's got an amazing feat.
And in Warmachine, like if you don't have mass infantry or really good guns that ignore stealth, like it's just ball busting.
So the course of action here is to move the Axer over, and we're gonna put rush on the Mauler, because no matter what, even if I'm gonna go and try and set this assassination up, and if the Mauler can't get there, then it means that I've at least got the rush going on to where maybe I can get that Gorgon out of my zone and start leveraging some scenario pressure. Because if I get the Gorgon and then stay in my zone and score it this turn, it just means that Ethan's going to be already down a little bit because he's not scoring any zones and just getting his flag, so I'm up on him, which makes me feel good.
And then there you did see me switch the jacks once I realized, like, I looked at it from the side and I'm like, that's not Discordia's arms.
Yep. So I decide to try and enable this assassination a little better by moving Borka up within 8 inches of Helynna. I needed the stone to get there, but I end up hitting her with my first Frost Hammer that's been Harmonious Exaltated. And I don't boost damage because I've got enough Fury on me to throw another boosted hammer, and I do 4 damage to her, which you shunt off with Focus. And then I hit with the next one, and then there is my lucky crit for stationary.
Yep.
I don't do any damage, but I think that's fine because the real damage here was getting the crit. So that means if anything goes into Helynna, I don't have to worry about missing like I have with every other stupid attack I've taken this game. So Borka repos back and feats, because this way if things go south, then I've at least got that backing me up, and this way Borka isn't completely just kind of hanging in the breeze. So the thing to get rid of this Gorgon is going to be that Brawler, and I don't know if Ethan initially saw this vector happening of how I was going to get the Gorgon out of there, but the Brawler ends up going in, and it gets a little shaky there with dice because I had to rush him with Borka. And I think I had some shenanigans to stand him up. I needed to do it in my maintenance phase, but I didn't do it at the right time or whatever, something. So either way, he gets stood up the way he's supposed to be stood up, and the last attack that he has crushes it. So we get the Gorgon out of there, and then I'm just going to go ahead and trample into Helynna and buy my attack right away. And I'm not using Rage because I'm still dice +1 on her. So you shunt off 5 damage for 2, then you shunt off again for a couple more damage, and then that roll ends up doing enough to get you down to 3 boxes, and then double ones will kill you, which is what I rolled, so that was good. And that kind of concludes the game for Borka here. It was kind of a anticlimactic ending, but I figured with the way that the games were going and it sucks to say it so much, but my inexperience with trolls and having to check stats and think about things from their mindset again, I just didn't feel like I could, it was a crapshoot on grinding out to the end of the game, because that's the one thing. This is the first time Ethan can actually leverage the clock against me, which is so weird to say, because usually my clock management is pretty decent, and I'm never playing factions that are as complicated to where clock becomes a big issue for me. So this was a good opportunity for him to do that. So me being able to get Helynna easy-ish with this was just a really big deal for me being able to close out game 3.
Yep, as soon as you got the crit, as soon as I ended my turn, I'm like, I didn't measure that Mauler threat. I thought I was dead. The only thing I could have done was put Disco over, but if this fails, you lose nothing. Because
exactly,
your feet is up. You could have ran that Mauler to engage Helynna, and you say pass turn, and then I say I'm screwed.
Yeah, because if you take a free strike from him, it'll do a ton of damage to you. And my feet's up, so if Disco goes in, how far away can you get from a Mauler before you killbox yourself? There's really nothing much you can do here, especially with both of my heavies in there with Borka. It's really this was just. My whole army converged on your caster and says, "Screw the scenario. You're gonna have a problem with my battle group."
Yeah, Borka's feat is just the ultimate time walk if you don't have the tools, which my list did not. Game 1, I managed it okay. I tried to do the throw, that screwed up. I was able to pull out a win, not through my sheer outplaying the list, but my inexperience. You lost the game. I didn't win the game.
I know, and it sucks so much to say that Borka 2 was the one that I did it with, because I know this caster like the back of my hand, and it shouldn't take me this long to formulate the turns, but for whatever reason it did.
Yeah, we've played the Borka matchup so many times in Mark 2, and did he change at all?
No, I think he might have gotten one thing on his stat card, on the back of his stat card. I think he's always had a Toon Spirit. He's always had he's always had Field Marshal Northkin. So no, he hasn't changed at all. I think he just had a straight port over from Mark II.
Now, he might have gained an arm, because I think of frontline casters, it doesn't matter. He got a good theme now, and I just, I didn't have the tools. I'm not saying he's broken for Brawl Machine, but, man, is he a huge gear check.
Yeah, when you don't have the things to deal with his feet, he'll roll over you.
He's a frontline melee caster that does work every turn. And he is so tanky. He might be the tankiest Hordes caster that I can think of in Brawl. I made a couple Chromac 2 lists, and he is not as tanky as Borka.
Well, and that's the fun thing about Borka is that people will look at his spell list and his Fury stack and be like, man, he just doesn't do anything. Snow Shroud is whatever, and Frosthammer on a Fury 5 Warlock is butt, which we very much disproved in this game. But the thing that's nice about his spell list being so squished down is that oftentimes he's camping 2 or 3, and a 2 or 3 camping Borka survives most heavies. He just does.
He survives heavy Warjacks,
a 5 Fury Warbeast or a 4 Fury Warbeast probably would roast him.
And that's the problem. I got nothing in the tank that can threaten Borka at all game. A fully loaded Jack charging him is dice -4 at best. Or the Manticore with +3 rank, he's -2 if he spends a focus for the +3 and charges, so he gets 3 attacks, which if you're camping 3 doesn't kill a Warlock.
Yep.
He's one of the few Warlocks, 'cause I was thinking about this when I was building Chromac 2 lists. Most of the times you do more damage through transfers to Warbeast than attacking Warbeast directly, And he's one of those casters where you do less damage to the Warbeast because his armor stat is better than the Warbeast's.
Yeah, he's better or the same. Like if you damage him, then he goes to that 22 number. But like even just at straight damage, it's 20 all around. So he can absorb a lot and make sure that his beasts stay nice and healthy throughout the game.
And you have to respect the counter charges. Like
absolutely, especially on him since he can get that impact off and knock you down. So like it's countercharging knockdowns are just so powerful. And Borka, being attached to Borka just means he can put more pressure out there if you're not careful about where you put him.
Yeah, because does the Warmachine version give the caster countercharge? Like Karchev, does Karchev get countercharge? I don't think he does. Maybe it's just the Horde version that does.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. I know I've played I mean it's the same spell though. It's both battle charged.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So then,
it's not
Karchev.
different.
Okay, it's not. There is no Hordes equivalent. I'm just looking at it right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, Karchev will get it. But like, you get it upkeep it for free all game because he's a Northkin model, and that's the theme benefit.
Yeah, and that actually goes really, really far with him.
Yep. And then you get the Runebearer. So like, your magic ability 5 spell is basically like a 1-cost spray.
Yep. And it just feels really good. Like I still like when people were grieving him for the Frost Hammer, I was just like, this spell is really good on him.
Especially in Northkin, because like multiple times during the game, you just sprayed over your own dudes because you don't care because they're all immune to cold.
And at face value, the one thing this list lacks is a hit buff, but that's where Borka comes in with that crit. I mean, it's not easy to get, but when it does happen, you lose your caster.
Yep. And like you have enough armor cracking where you can afford to boost the hit. Like you're still raged heavies, and Borka one-rounded multiple heavies throughout these 3 games. Like
yeah, he doesn't. And with Attuned Spirit, it just means that I will be getting the rage. I 100% will have it where I want it,
or the rush. Like
yeah,
you just out-threatened me, out-bricked me. Like I wouldn't say this is a absolutely horrendous matchup, but it is not great.
I would say it's got to be at least like 70% my favor.
I'd say 80 if you go first.
Sure, yeah, 80 would really tip the scales. I mean,
so
going
maybe it is
first
a bad
tips the scales.
matchup. We talked about it. If I'd played like in Dawnguard, that one had max Sentinels.
Yeah, and that one would really mess me up. I don't think I would come back from that with Borka.
And there's no like list healer, so I can't negate his feat in this list. I think there was one in my Dawnguard list, but if he scalpels that out, then I lose because she stops stationary within 5.
Yeah.
So maybe I could power through the feat, but it's iffy. Because Borka can just bomb, he can spray.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, you'd have to get her within a certain amount of distance to make sure she doesn't proc a counter charge. So it's just like you got to thread the needle right.
Yeah, she can be 5 inches behind to the side of the Sentinels there, back of their base, 2-inch reach. It's just more of like not blocking charge lanes.
Yeah, which is a little more tough.
And not getting counter charged from the stuff behind the thing you're charging.
Yep.
Like, Borka is just super, super solid. He might be the best Trolls Warlock in Brawl Machine, but
I think Grim 1's up there. Like, I feel like this pairing of Grim 1 Borka 2 is a really big power pairing. I don't think that it's broken Brawl Machine, but I think it's super duper strong.
I don't know if Grim just has the tools at 25 because he likes the huge bases, whereas like I'm scared of, say, a Borka Grandma pairing, like Grandma
Cole
at Brawl
Grandma's
Machine,
a big one.
because like she just brings clouds. Like I have no answer to the clouds in my list, and that feat just clears zones. Like you can't toe a zone.
Yeah,
she'll
it's almost
feat.
like she's a better Grim in that case. Even though Grim has a really hard control feat, like hers is just as hard, but she ends up bringing a lot more personal output than he does.
Yep. Grim stops you from getting in the zones, but she just literally tells you get the F out.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the zone and you've thrown away your army to her. Because like with Hunter's Mark, the clouds, like she's going to alpha you unless you have hard cloud tech, and not every faction like has access to that. Like Rhett, I'm trying to think what we have. There's Mage Sight on Gary, and I can't. If you take Linus and Andrea as a rec option,
Which they're a solid rec option. They're just hard to apply.
yeah, it's just hard squeezing in the 5 points out of the main board.
Yeah. Well, that was a definitely interesting one. I'm glad that Trolls got to redeem themselves a little bit here because they are definitely one of my favorite factions to play, and I look forward to doing more with them, but this was a really good... I think we're getting to the pinnacle of, like, Trollbloods Brawl Machine with this Borka list.
And all the Sid changes helped them a lot. Like the lowest cost.
I'm playing 4 extra points in this list. That's almost a Runebearer. That's huge. Like, the stone being 7 points is just insane.
Yep. It's real good.